In this video, we're going to determine the area of an isosceles triangle and then investigate that using the TI N-Spire CAS app. Here is our image of an isosceles triangle with each side being S, with the base being B, with the height being H, with the top angle being theta, and with the top angle bisected into two equal angles of alpha. Now we'll note from the general formula for the area of a triangle that the area is going to equal 1/2 the base times the height, and that's going to equal the area. Now we're going to ask the question, what is the cosine of the angle alpha equal to? Well, in that half triangle on the right, let's say, the cosine is going to equal the adjacent side over the hypotenuse, which is going to equal h over s, from which we see that h is going to equal s cosine alpha. Then we're going to ask, what does the sine alpha equal? Well, that's going to be the opposite side over the hypotenuse, so it's going to equal b over 2 all over s, so that b over 2 equals s times the sine of alpha. Now we plug those back into our area formula up above, and we see that area, which equals b over 2 times h, is going to equal s times the sine of alpha times s times the cosine of alpha, which is going to equal s squared sine alpha cosine alpha. Now we're going to remember something that we proved in an earlier video, and that is that the sine of alpha plus beta in general equals the sine of alpha cosine of beta plus the cosine of alpha sine of beta. But in our example here, we don't have alpha and beta as different angles. We have alpha equals beta because both of our alphas are the same, because that angle is just bisected. So we're going to ask, what is the sine then of alpha plus alpha? And that is going to be sine alpha cosine alpha plus cosine alpha sine alpha, which is just 2 sine alpha cosine alpha. But we're going to notice that theta here equals alpha plus alpha, so that the sine of theta equals 2 sine alpha cosine alpha, and that therefore sine alpha cosine alpha equals 1/2 the sine of theta. Now we'll just plug this back into the formula we found for the area, which was area equals s squared sine of alpha cosine of alpha. So that means that the area is going to equal 1/2 s squared times the sine of theta. And that it's our general formula for the area of an isosceles triangle, with theta being the top angle and s being the length of both of the long sides. Now let's test out that formula using the TI-NSpire CAS calculator app on the iPad. we're going to create a new document, and we're going to add a geometry section to that document. And first we're going to go up to the settings up here, and we will make a couple of changes. The geometry angle, we're going to change to radians. And we're going to choose automatically label points. And we'll tap on OK there. And now let's add a line segment to make the base of our triangle. So we're going to go using the wrench tool. We're going to choose points and lines, and we're going to choose segment. And we're going to click on 2 points at the base. And there's our base of our triangle AB. Now we need to get the midpoint of that line. So we're going to go again to the wrench tool, and we're going to choose construction, and we're going to choose midpoint. Then we're going to tap on the line, and there's the midpoint to the line. Now we need a perpendicular off of that midpoint. So again, to the wrench tool, to construction, and perpendicular, and we're going to tap on the point, and somewhere up above here. And now we have a perpendicular. Now we're going to create the 2 sides of the triangle, again by coming here to points and lines and segment, and we'll click on A, and then the top of the triangle here is creating a point called C. And then one more time, points and lines, segment, we'll click on B and C. Now there are the 3 sides of our triangle. It's not yet recognizes this shape in the app, but we have the 3 sides of the triangle. And we're going to measure the length of the 2 legs of the triangle. They should be the same. So we're going to choose measurement and length, and we're going to click on one of those legs, 7.073 centimeters. Now we're going to do the same thing just to be sure the other leg is the same length. And we see that it is. I'm just going to grab the label here and move it to the outside. Now we want to get the measure of the top angle. So we're going to come here to measurement again, and we're going to choose angle. And we're going to click on the points A, C, and B, and that's going to give us the measure of that angle, which is 1.194 radians. Now we're going to construct the triangle itself so that we can measure its area. So we go to the wrench tool again, and we choose shapes, and we choose triangle. Now we'll tap on A and C and B, and we see that the triangle becomes bold briefly. So now that shape exists there. And now if we come to wrench and measurement and area, and we click inside the triangle, we will get the area of the triangle. And try that again. Measurement, area, click inside the triangle, and there it is. 23.26 square centimeters. So let's try this out. We have 7.073 centimeters for the legs and 1.194 radians. So we're going to add a calculator to our document, and we're going to say, let's go back and look just at this again. We have 7.073 centimeters. So we'll come back down to the calculator. 7.073, and because that is S in our equation for our formula for the area of the triangle, we're going to square that, and then we're going to multiply it by the sine of that top angle, which we can remind ourselves here is 1.194 radians. 1.194 radians. I gotta make that a point. And then we divide the whole thing by 2 because the formula is s squared sine theta over 2. And we see over in the right that the area of the triangle is 23.26 approximately square centimeters. And we'll go back and look to see if that's what the geometry app told us, and it is 23.26 square centimeters. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing you again soon.